Joining us today is Shaymaiye Haynes, a devoted mother, educational advocate, and candidate for District 2 on the CMS Board of Education. Shaymaiye brings a powerful voice to the table, one informed by both lived experience and years of community organizing. After enrolling her children in CMS schools and witnessing disparities firsthand, she became a champion for equitable resources in Title I schools. Her leadership is shaped by a commitment to justice, transparency, and placing students at the center of every decision. Shaymaiye's vision for public education is bold yet grounded, empowering families, support teachers, and ensure that every child, regardless to zip code, has access to a high-quality education.
Shaymaiye, welcome to Voices of Resilience. Well, I'm so glad to be here, grateful to talk about education. It's my joy, it's my passion. So I'm just really thankful that you invited me here.
Yes, I'm honored. It's like talking to someone who knows my entire story, which is different because both of us are from different places, but what we have in common is Cincinnati. But before we get into that, I want to talk about, always break the ice with what is an unknown fact about you that no one knows, but it's really interesting.
Something people from North Carolina, Charlotte, may not know about me is that I am an excellent skater. I love inline skates. I haven't been on them in a long time, but man, when I get on them, yeah, I can do backwards.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness. You know what? And it's interesting that you say that because you remember back in the day, because you're my Cincinnati girl. That's all we had.
That's right.
What was it called? I forgot.
Golden skate.
Golden skates. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. I mean, that was the hanging spot. That was the hanging spot for me. So, wow, you can skate. I'm gonna have to take you up on that.
We gotta go.
I gotta take you.
You would be surprised that this old lady can skate. Yeah.
Old lady where, honey? Old lady where? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, let's go back because the thing about it is you're doing some great things here in Charlotte, but I think the people need to hear how you got started and with the passion behind why you are running for District 2, but more importantly, why do you care?
Well, that's a little bit of a long answer, but I'll try to be as short as I can with this answer. First of all, when I moved to Charlotte, I had no desire to be active in the community. I wanted to come to work, go home, raise my younger two children, and pretty much make my life in retirement in Charlotte. But I do have a long history of community organizing and activism because of my mother. So I've been in the community doing so many things, various things with her and even into adulthood. How I got started in Charlotte was I had two children who were in Title I schools. You may remember Project Lift.
Yes.
That was here some years ago. My son went into Project Lift in year 2, and he actually graduated out of West Charlotte in 2021.
Okay.
So he went all the way through. Unfortunately, with my daughter, that's when the issues really, really became apparent. It's funny because I was never active in education in Cincinnati. And however, when I really had a chance to see what the disparities were and the narrative around Black children in particular, just because of where they lived, just because of the schools they were in, it's sort of, I was started out as an angry parent, angry about the narrative, angry about the inequity, and angry about the narrative that was given to the public, but what was really happening.
I love that. Cincinnati school system is just totally different from here. And that's not to say that it was different meant better. It just meant that they had more options in Cincinnati where it wasn't your neighborhood school. They had magnet programs back in the day because I went to performing arts. So I could audition and go wherever I wanted to go. I understand that. That's interesting that you say that because most parents would just take what they're given and just keep going. They wouldn't want to say, okay, I need to do something about this. And so that started when?
I think it's important for people to know that I've always been the type of person who thought very highly of our community. I always believe in the potential of our children, of parents, and really of all people. I think that it's important for people who are of higher income, higher social economic status, more with the social capital to bring about change, to not just reach back into the community, but to be a part of the community. The reason I say that is if I had moved to Charlotte and moved to some of the places that were recommended to me, I never would have landed on the West Side. Mm-hmm. My children never would have gone to the school, and I would not have seen for myself what was happening. I would have been a transplant who came here and said, oh, what are they talking about?
Right, right.
You can't unsee problems and not do anything about them.
Right.
That's my philosophy.
I love that. I love that. And so that goes into my first question. I've asked questions before, but this is going into that community piece. You emphasize a community school model in your platform. Could you explain what that looks like in practice and how it helps foster stronger relationships between families, community, organizations, and schools?
I think the community schools model represents so much for CMS. It is an equity-based model, and it's seen across the country as the competitive advantage to staving off the charter school and private school voucher movement. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is because it's not a program. It is an actual model with a methodology that supports advances for children academically. An example of that is the community schools model calls for a lot of interaction with the community and the neighborhood that exists around it. So to do that, what is it that you need to do on the school level? Currently within CMS, we don't have a solid place and basis for heavy volunteerism.
Right.
When we talk about children who have exceptional needs or exceptional children, when we talk about children with discipline problems, when we talk about children that are being left behind, the remedy to that is interventions.
Right.
If you don't have teachers and teachers' assistants, then who do you call on to do those interventions when we know that those are the things that are important? Mm-hmm. The community schools model would drive that kind of bus to say, if you don't have this in place, in order for this model to work and for it to be to its fullest, these are the things that have to take place. The community schools model is important to CMS because we need to build trust among parents. And that is one of the first wins that you'll see. It's one thing to have teachers call you and tell you things about your child, good or bad, but you don't know how to validate that because you're never offered the opportunity to come and to support or not support the school.
Right. That's right.
So
you make a great point because when I was a teacher at Martin Luther King Middle, I would stay after school to exercise. I needed to lose some weight. So I would walk through Hidden Valley because, I'm from English Woods. So I was like, this is nothing compared to that. But it made a difference to my students because they would see me. Exactly. And they were like, hey, miss, I was like, hey, you live over here? Yes. So I love that. I love that idea. I love the idea that even when my son was at Parkside Elementary, that he had a teacher that lived in Highland Creek. She didn't live too far from the school. So that model, to me, takes me back to old school where we were a community. And it wasn't so much that it was separated from, you live all the way over here and you don't know what's going on in my neighborhood. So to call my mom or my dad to say this or that, it was different. It's a different understanding. I'd never called my parents when I was at Martin Luther King. I would say, if I'm calling you, I'm about to bring them home. And we would dialogue and have a whole conversation, but there was a level of understanding that I knew that they were at work, just like I was at work, and that they could trust me with their child between those hours, and that we were going to do this together, So I love that idea, and I believe that could work too, but you have to have a lot of everybody saying, okay, we want to do this. We actually want to take part in this idea.
It's a very interesting thing, that part of it. That seems like the most difficult part of it, but I think it goes in steps and in phases. Step one, people sort of say, you know what, that's a good idea. I think I want to do that. Step two is one person raises their hand to say we want to try it.
Right.
Step three is people see success in it and can really talk to other people about it and can build upon that. I don't think that that's really the most challenging part. I think the challenging part is this model really does change the culture of a school. And there are people within our system that are very well-meaning, very dedicated, and they know the language of co-creation. They know the language of equity. They know the language of parent involvement and engagement and the importance of those things. Yet at the same time, they don't want to give up the power to actually make sure that those things are happening on a daily basis at the school. It's a really touchy situation when we talk about making more than just incremental change. This model really in its fullness will do more than incremental change. And it'll challenge people in terms of how they operate with you and me as parents. And right now we have a situation where no matter how successful that school is, I guarantee you that there's a lot of transaction in the relationships.
That's right.
And we need to build that sense of community again. We need to build partnerships to make sure that we're all striving for the same things and not just striving for them, but actually working for children. And not just them, working for the parents too.
That's right.
Because we need a lot of help.
We do.
A lot of help.
And speaking of that, as a parent in CMS Title I schools, you've spoken about witnessing inequities in resources. What are the most urgent resource gaps you believe need addressing, and how would you work to close them?
The toughest one, and I know people kind of dance around this, is the teacher shortage.
Yes.
If you don't have a good teacher in a classroom, an experienced teacher in a classroom, it's going to be a problem.
Yes, and not just a body. That's the part that I'm trying to get.
Experienced.
You have to have a highly qualified teacher. Just stop trying to bring somebody in there just to say, okay, we've met the number quota. So yeah, so you say it's teachers.
It's teachers. Honestly, there isn't a lot on the school board level other than what is being done that we can do.
Right.
I mean, I can expand upon
and we want
the
you
greatness.
to. I want you to expand on that part. What can be done?
There are more things that can be done, but these are not solutions that can be done tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
As an example, the biggest concern that I have is that people are not going into the teaching profession in the first place. That's problematic because you have to, it's a certification field. You don't just get a bachelor's degree and go teach in a class. There's a lot of other steps that have to take place. So we got to figure out a pipeline that accelerates that without sacrificing quality.
Right.
But B, I think we also need to look at paraprofessionals, people who have childcare certifications and things like that, to see if we can expedite their certifications into teaching. I think back to my great-grandmother who established one-room schoolhouses between Athens, Georgia, and Mount Bayou, Mississippi. At that time, you didn't really go to necessarily a 4-year institution. You went to a teaching college, and I don't remember the length of time that it was, but it was a short length of time, and then you had a classroom of pupils that were multiple age. Now, that doesn't work in this day and time.
Right.
But what it speaks to is, are we over-certifying teachers but still not getting the quality that we need? In other words, could we do a pure teaching college, like directly after high school, you go into a teaching college, you get accelerated classes so that within 2 years you've already met your criteria. Now,
Yeah.
that does not, remember, you have student teaching, you have all these other things that still land within the 4-year college, within the 4-year college level term. I'm not saying put together missing parts or let people skip things, but I think we do need to accelerate and advance the program.
I agree with you. I just also think that we need to restore the honor in teaching.
Absolutely.
I think that when we start to water it down, then we feel like everyone is capable of walking into that classroom
and they cannot.
And delivering pedagogy, and that's just not the case. And that's where you start looking at the quality of the skill. So it's not like a trade. It is a calling for someone to decide, I'm going to stand in front of children from 8 o'clock or even sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to make sure they get this information so that they can live a better life than I have.
I think there are people who are just natural teachers.
Yes.
Period.
And I love those.
You can put them somewhere and they will just understand what to do. There are others that I don't think even with a master's degree will ever master teaching.
Or even a doctorate.
Now, there is something else that I have thought a lot about, and the logistics would have to be worked out and such, and it's not a fix for tomorrow. But I think we need to do apprenticeships where you have somebody who has proven ability in the profession that says she has it or she doesn't.
Right.
We see that in the professional world all the time, where a person has a sponsor and that person moves along a journey with that person, and they together teach each other and train each other and move into the profession. We've lost the art of hands-on experience, right? Experiential experience. Some people cannot pass a chemistry course, but they have worked in the chemistry field and learned chemistry and excelled at it.
Right.
We need to really think differently about
I like that.
Teaching and how we can bring people to the profession. You know, I'll tell you, it's amazing to me how I hear teachers speak about their jobs and how it's fascinating to me. Not because everything that they have to say is good or bad, but teaching is such a noble profession in the Black, or was in the Black community.
Yes, it was. It was an honor.
It was an honor. And also it was a place of activism. We knew that we were going to be half educated. We knew that funding was not going to come our way. Right. But we had this idea that we were going to do it no matter what. We were going to do it no matter what.
That's right.
And I don't always see that kind of activism show up. I wish it did more, because I think that would bring young people into the profession. They wouldn't see it as a job. They would see it as
a movement.
And
see, that's what I love. I mean, because you couldn't pay me enough if you gave me some power and influence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To move and to really understand. So growing up in Cincinnati, it was my teachers who influenced me. It was my teachers who had the power to tell me, hey, you can change the trajectory of your life if you do this. And so what I see in CMS and just in North Carolina in general, I see an oppressed occupation.
Yes.
I don't see a thriving line of life that you're extending to a student by taking on that position. And what we could do overnight is empower them in the classroom.
Well, I think the community schools model represents a lot of hope in that as well. Because one of the things that I see teachers doing is trying to tackle all of this stuff on their own.
Yes.
I'll tell you something that really sat with me for years and years and years. And it's a part of, and I think about it often. You may not have ever met my daughter, but she is absolutely brilliant.
Aww.
Okay,
I believe you.
she's she's smart, she's an entrepreneur, all of those things. But in first grade, she did not learn a single thing in an entire academic year.
Wow.
I shouldn't say a single thing. It might have been a single thing.
Right.
What happened was I started to get a little more knowledgeable about things. And at the end of the year, I started asking questions about where she was academically. Of course, she's smart, she talks, she whatever. And I started asking, is she ready for second grade? And the teacher kind of paused. And I said, do you have her end of year assessment and can I review that? And she pulled it out. And in reading, my daughter was testing at a beginning of the year first grader.
Oh, wow.
Getting ready to move into second
And she
grade.
did not notify you.
No.
Woo.
And making good grades and, the whole bit.
But
the whole thing.
Ooh.
From that conversation,
I would not want to be a bug on the wall.
I believe she had 8 years experience. She understood that it wasn't about her abilities at all. When I really hammered down, because she's embarrassed about having to present this to me and I'm asking these questions. It wasn't offered to me. I had to.
Which you shouldn't have had to do that.
Right. But when we got into it, I found out that she had 33 kids in her class. No teacher's assistant, and at least 10 of them had behavior problems. And she could not even get to the material that she needed to teach for children like Maya, who, if they're coming to school every day and near perfect attendance, should be learning. So so I did not, and to this day, I don't blame the teacher.
Right.
I blame a system that doesn't allow you to come in and help, that isn't forthright in terms of saying, these are the problems, will you help me? And I understand that teacher now because I know the scrutiny that she would be under. I know that we don't want to say negative things about what's happening because we're worried about
our job,
criticism in our job. And so when I think about that, it makes me wonder what the experiences are of high school teachers and middle school teachers. So my heart goes out to teachers. I think we have some challenges for our teachers, which is you need to be a community organizer in your classroom. If you got 2 parents and they're the only 2 parents who will show up, work with them.
Rally them.
Build with them.
Right.
Validate your concerns with them. And y'all move together. How powerful would it be if parents walked alongside teachers as they're asking for a raise at the state?
Listen.
They don't need to do it alone.
They don't. And they wouldn't if we could build that culture.
Exactly.
That would allow them to influence. And so with that being said, because I can feel your passion for what you do, for what happened with your daughter, and just from what you've witnessed in the community. Why do you want to run?
I've been an active constituent for about 10 years. What does that mean? It means I haven't held a seat. I haven't ever officially taken on any sort of position. Yet at the same time, I've taken this time to understand the community, to understand the needs and concerns. I now have a model that I want to see put forward that I think will really change the trajectory of our children. And really, this is just an advancement in the work that I'm already doing. I think it's important for people, before they run for an office, to understand what they're running for. And I don't know how it happened to me, but I've been blessed to have our school board member who's not seeking re-election give me her full support. Some people might say, I don't deserve it. Some people might say, why should you support somebody? Why don't you let the general public make the decision, which they still have to.
Right.
I want to speak directly to that. Me and this school board member, Ms. Thelma Byers-Bailey, began to work together while I was an angry parent. While I did not really understand Charlotte, while, there were so many different things. And rather than cut me off and rather than dismiss my concerns, we actually began a very strong working relationship. Do we agree on every point? Absolutely not. We're two very different people.
Right.
But she has seen the growth, and she knows that I'm committed to District 2 and that I'm committed to education, and that will never stop as a school board member, community member, whatever it is. So I hope that answered the question.
Oh, yeah, you definitely answered the question. With all of this being said, what do you want? What's the message that you want to directly say to the parents of District 2?
I am running for District 2 school board representative because I believe in our community. I believe in the people of District 2, and I want to improve our status on the West Side as the district that made the strongest comeback ever. What I mean by comeback is all of our schools are at least at a C status, that our teachers are happy and feel welcome in the schools, and they feel like they have a good job to do. I am committed to the people of District 2, and I hope you'll vote for me November 4th. Thank you.
West Side.
Look, West Side.
West
Can't
Side.
even get the fingers.
Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you so much. I know there are things that we still got to talk about.
Yes,
So
but
we'll make it in January.
We will.
We'll come back in January.
yes, we will, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.